This is Tom Fox. I'd like to welcome you to the Compliance Week 2022 podcast series. Compliance Week is thrilled to be back 100% live and in person after 3 years apart. Back for its 17th year at Compliance Week National 2022, compliance, ethics, legal, and audit professionals will gain insights and make connections at the industry's premier cross-industry national compliance event, offering knowledge-packed, accredited sessions and take-home advice from the most influential leaders in the compliance community. In this podcast series, we will detail some of the speakers and what they will be discussing at the event and why they're attending Compliance Week 2022. I hope you will join me in attending this conference, and particularly this year when it's literally the first major compliance conference which will be held live since the pandemic began. We link to the conference in the show notes, and listeners to this podcast get a special discount, which is also listed in the show notes. I hope to see you in May at Compliance Week 2022. This is Tom Fox. In this podcast, I visit with Mia Reini from Home Depot. Mia went through one of the most interesting exercises I've recently heard of, where she benchmarked the Home Depot compliance program with the Department of Justice evaluation of corporate compliance programs and its update. She's going to talk about that at Compliance Week 2020. Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox back for another episode, and today I have with me Mia Reini. Mia, first of all, welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time to visit with me today.
Thanks, Tom.
Mia, could you tell the audience what your current role is?
Sure. I oversee the day-to-day operations of the Home Depot Corporate Compliance Department. Corporate compliance at the Home Depot has responsibility for elements of the Home Depot's compliance program that are centralized at headquarters. So we oversee the company's whistleblower hotlines for both our employees and our vendors, the conflict of interest program, the business code of conduct and ethics, our corporate policies, our standard operating procedures for stores, and records management. And we also run a global compliance leads program, and I have another role with enterprise risk management as well.
So Mia, your presentation is entitled Proactive Response to DOJ Guidance, What to Expect from Regulators and the Home Depot Compliance Response. Further, within the description of the panel, it says, quote, gain insights from Home Depot's proactive response, including takeaways from an internal review and reaction to the DOJ guidance, end quote. So it strikes me that you're going to have a fair amount to say on this panel about the Home Depot experience. So could you give us maybe a teaser or two of what you hope to be able to communicate and really get across to the audience from the Home Depot experience?
Sure, Tom. So my co-presenters are former regulators, and they have a very informative presentation about what to expect from regulators. And, their theme is the Clint Eastwood movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is entertaining. But I'm going to be presenting on how we created Home Depot's compliance report in 2021. It was a new idea that we had to create a compliance report using the DOJ's 2020 compliance guidance as a roadmap, and we created our own 30-page glossy report called the Home Depot Compliance Program Overview. What we were really thinking was, we have so much compliance work being done across the company. Let's pull it all together, take 2021 to pull it together and proactively answer the questions from the DOJ compliance guidance. And so at Home Depot, we do operationalize our compliance by embedding it into our business. So we have over 100 compliance leads who run various compliance programs for the company. And corporate compliance created the report, informed by the DOJ guidance, to highlight, the functionality of these embedded compliance programs and really to describe how the programs work in practice to drive compliance at the Home Depot. But we absolutely partnered with many, many internal stakeholders. So some of those were mergers and acquisitions, environmental health and safety, home services, logistics, learning, human resources, internal audit, and legal. And it took 1 year to complete the report. We hired a technical writer, and we worked with a graphic designer to create the finished product. And we're really happy with the result, and we look forward to sharing it, how we did it, looking through the process of how we did it and sharing how we did it with Compliance Week's national attendees. And then we will be sharing the actual report with our own 100 plus compliance leads at our own internal Home Depot compliance conference that we host annually in Atlanta.
I'm really excited about this event. I'm excited about a lot of the speakers, but I will have to tell you, after listening to this description, this is probably the panel I'm the most excited about.
Oh.
Because the last thing you said, not the last thing, but you said about operationalizing your compliance program, and not simply does that give you a way to embed or push down compliance, but you were able to use those same resources in this exercise. And a lot of people don't think about, they think about the compliance communication going one way down to operationalized business units. But here you've given one of the best examples I've ever heard of. It's a two-way street. It's information up and down. And wow, I can't wait. So
Thanks.
no pressure.
None at all.
So let me change the focus with our last question, Mia. Why are you excited about attending Compliance Week 2022 this year?
So is it wrong to say the networking receptions? Because those are always great. But really, a close second would be hearing from the SEC and the DOJ about their priorities this year. And then I always really enjoy hearing from other company case studies like ours. You learn so much from what other companies are doing, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, Mia, I'm greatly looking forward to your presentation and seeing you in Washington in a couple of weeks. So thanks again for taking the time to visit with me.
Of course. Thanks, Tom.
This is Tom Fox again. I hope you'll plan to join me at Compliance Week 2022. Registration information is found in the show notes. And of course, there's a discount code for listeners to this podcast that I've listed in the show notes as well. It's going to be a great conference. We're all going to be able to get together in a full conference for the first time since the pandemic began. I hope you will plan to join me and all of your fellow compliance professionals at Compliance Week 2022.